Thank you for the opportunity to spend a few minutes with you today, talking a little bit about the pork industry in North Carolina, a little bit about the challenges that we see are in front of us, and where we think that research can really help us down the road. So we'll start with an introduction. As I looked through the list of participants earlier, I saw a lot of names that I recognized from my work around the country, but for many of you, this may be the first time we've had a chance to meet. So I'll tell you a little about myself. I came to the North Carolina Pork Council as the CEO January 1 of this year. Spent the last 22 years as the executive director with the Oklahoma Pork Council. And my roles there predominantly looked at public policy, management of the organization day to day, et cetera. And here in North Carolina, going to work with the team here, help with predominantly, I think, strategic planning and how we address the challenges that lay out in front of us long term. I'm a graduate at Oklahoma State University, both with my bachelor's and my master's degree in ag communications and then in agricultural education. And prior to joining the Oklahoma Pork Council, I spent about 3.5 years working in the Cooperative Extension Service as a 4-H youth educator, both in Oklahoma and in Kansas. So talk a little bit about why did we come to North Carolina? That's the most common question I get. And the biggest answer is that North Carolina is an industry leader in the pork industry. There's no other way to look at it. When you think about North Carolina, we're the second largest breeding herd in the country, approximately 830,000 head in that breeding herd. That means about 12% of all the pigs that are born in the United States are born right here in North Carolina. Estimate that to be about 16 million head. If you think about total hog inventory, we rank third with our market herd inventory, one-time inventory at about 7.7 million head. So we have the largest world's pork processing plant here as well. And in general, the issues that face our industry, the challenges that we see long term, they all start somewhere. And unfortunately, a lot of them start here in North Carolina. And so as I look to the future, I thought if we can address those challenges here, then the rest of the country, the rest of the pork industry will benefit from that. So that's really kind of what brought me to North Carolina. And I am so excited to be here and to get to work on these challenges and these opportunities that are in front of us. So when we think about the challenges and opportunities that exist today within our industry, you all should all be familiar with the nuisance lawsuits that started here 4 or 5 years ago. Those were settled last fall, most of the nuisance lawsuits. They've now followed that up with what they're calling a trespass lawsuit. That's nothing more than a nuisance lawsuit under a new name. We continue to see what those challenges. We'll continue to see those activists come after our industry, and it really reinforces the need for us to have a strong right to farm law here in North Carolina, as well as elsewhere in the country. One of the challenges for us is limited opportunities for growth. You know, we've had a moratorium on new farms here in North Carolina really since 1997. So we haven't built any new farms in well over 20 years. One of the challenges we see both on the farm and in our processing side is the availability of labor. So we're constantly looking for ways that we can reduce the demand for labor, help us in that regard. We see ongoing attacks on our industry every day. Yesterday was another one of those examples. Those come in the form of both what we would call advocacy journalism as well as advocacy research. And by that, I mean research that starts out with, this is the result we want to find, and now let's go look for the numbers that match that. The Washington Post did a story on a new study that came out yesterday where all of the data in the study were estimates. We will estimate these would be the results. Even though in North Carolina, we had actual scientific data that was collected on farm, collected near our farms on air quality, and the data didn't match what was found in the study that was doing estimates, the Washington Post chose to ignore the actual study. They discounted the value of the actual data and focused on what the estimates were. And those are places that are real challenges for us. And we see more and more of that every day. We see tremendous opportunities, I think, out there. Those opportunities include our renewable gas systems, renewable natural gas development from our farms. We also think that there's a tremendous demand for pork globally. We know that as society, as people become more affluent, as they add more disposable income, the first thing they do is improve their diet. and pork remains the protein of choice around the world. So opportunities to sell our product around the globe are tremendous. The U.S. remains the least cost, most consistent, most affordable, safest provider of pork around the world. And so we think that there's a long, bright future ahead of our industry here. Foreign animal disease is both a challenge and an opportunity for us. It's created opportunities for us in the export market as other countries deal with African swine fever, with other diseases. And as long as we can continue to manage to protect our herd and keep those diseases out, it will present opportunities to us. Should we get foreign animal disease here on our soil, then that will create challenges. And so we try to balance that every day, and we work hard every day to make sure that we're doing our part to keep disease out so we can embrace the opportunities presented and hopefully avoid some of those challenges. As we think about research and what we as an industry and what I think we as an industry need going forward, number one and paramount to us is the science has always ruled the day for us. We make decisions every single day on the science. And you all have seen that throughout the day as you talk about all the different studies you've seen, how the science drives the way we raise hogs, where we go. What we need today is research that addresses the issues of the day. And when I say that, I'm thinking about the things that are top of mind, the stories that you're seeing in the newspaper, the things that are happening in the halls of the legislature, both here in the General Assembly in North Carolina and in Congress. When you think about climate change, when you think about environmental justice, when you think about animal care, you think about those issues, Prop 12 in California, you look at those things, and those are the places that we need people doing research. And we need that research to be done really at the speed of business. The old model of, hey, we've got an idea we want to research, and we're gonna go find students, and we're gonna bring them in, and we're gonna take 18 months to get you an answer to your question. We don't have 18 months anymore. For example, the newspaper story that came out yesterday about that air quality study, we had less than 4 hours to respond to the reporter's request for a comment on that study. That's the speed of business today, and we need you all to be able to help us as we look to the future, as we look to what those challenges are. How can you help us with that? And then we would encourage you to think about how your results play out to the public. And when I say that, I'm not a scientist. Okay, you heard that in my background. I'm a communications guy. I think about how do we share messages with the general public. And the simple fact is, in today's world, if we don't have a social media post, if I can't put it on Twitter, if I can't put it in Facebook or on Instagram, then the message is too long. And so as you're putting your summaries together, your conclusions, we need you to be thinking about how can we share your results so that the public gets it and gets it quicker. With that, I thank you for your time. I don't know how I managed to get this done under my 10-minute allotment, but here's my contact information. Feel free to reach out for me. Bailey, I've probably got a minute left. If there's a question out there, I would be happy to take it, or I'll come back and join you at the end if there are questions at 2:10.